We're here today in the beautiful, historic Carnegie Port Elgin Library, and we have with us Saugeen Shore's Mayor, Luc Charbonneau. Mr. Mayor, now you were inaugurated in December 2018, and here we are December 2019. So not only is it the end of a year, it's the end of a decade,
Right.
and it's the end of your first full year as mayor.
Right.
So how's it been?
It's been good. You know, we've had a really successful 2019. I think we've solidified our place as the fastest growing community in the region. Over $100 million in building permits issued in 2019, and also I think really started to also solidify that place as a hub for innovation and a center of excellence in the global nuclear industry. And we're going to see some of that really hit the ground and take off in 2020. I think we're going to see early in 2020, hopefully, the new Nuclear Innovation Institute headquarters at 620 Tomlinson Drive in Port Elgin get up and running. And in connection to that, the Municipal Innovation Council, which Saugeen Shores is leading, and we're getting a lot of new partners, municipalities joining on. That's going to take off, and I think really become a going concern in 2020 as well. And we're going to see some of, hopefully by the end of 2020, some of the fruits of that work start to bear fruit for the people of our communities, which is what we want. So we saw that in 2019, and I think that's been really exciting. We've made some good progress, I think, in a couple of areas where we have been struggling to make progress for a lot of years. The recreation pool discussion that we've been having for feels like, you know,
Forever.
decades now, but it was maybe about 15 years now. I think we're starting to get to a place where we have a plan to get somewhere on that. Hopefully we're going to see, knock on wood, we'll see some funding applications succeed in 2020 that are going to help us move that along and get a new YMCA recreation facility built, connected to the Plex in Port Elgin, which is something a lot of people in the community would like to see. We managed to get our new police facility completed this year, which is going to help again in 2020 and years going forward solidify the police service as an adequate and effective service for our growing population in Saugeen Shores, which is something we've needed to do for a long time. So we've had a lot of successes. That's really just the tip of the iceberg in terms of 2019, and so looking forward though, I think we've got to a place in some of those areas that were really important to move along, and now I think looking ahead to 2020, I think we need to look at some of the services that we provide as a municipality and make sure that really redouble our efforts to ensure that those services are adequate to the needs of a growing population. So areas like, for example, EMS. There's an area, it's a Bruce County responsibility, and I sit on Bruce County Council, but we are seeing in a growing population here, but also a growing need across the county for more EMS, and we really have to take steps to ensure that we have that service adequately for the population of our community and all communities across the county. And so we're doing some work. We just constituted a new Department of Paramedic Services at the county, and so we're doing some work to make sure that area is well serviced through some strategic planning. So we need to work on that. Healthcare is an area in 2020 that we're going to have to look at pretty seriously. We need to have primary care for all of the new people moving to our community, as well as existing people who currently don't have doctors. So that's something the municipality is focused on pretty intently and will be focused on in 2020. Education is an area that we know we need to work on. We need school space in our community to accommodate all of the new families and children moving to our community. So that's something that I know we're going to be prioritizing in 2020. So.
And along with that is affordable housing, I assume?
Well, yeah, I think that you're going to see early in the new year, Council's going to consider striking a new task force for affordable housing, to look at areas in which the town of Saugeen Shores, within its own jurisdiction, can make progress on affordable housing. The other thing we're doing, we started it in 2019, but we're going to, I think, you're really going to see increased discussion around updating our official plan, both here in Saugeen Shores as well as at the county in 2020, and affordable housing is going to play a significant role in that discussion. We need really a two-pronged approach to that. We need stronger regulations and incentives, and to push developers to build that affordable housing that we know we need. We're very fortunate, and it all comes back to this discussion of growth, and I always talk about us being the fastest growing community in the region, and I know that rankles some people to hear that, because they're not, they say, growth, why do we need that? Is growth really good? But it is, and it is because it gives us the tool we need to address things like affordable housing. If we were not growing, if we were stagnant, or if we were declining, developers would not be looking to build here, and we then therefore could not incentivize them to build the affordable housing we need. But we're in the fortunate situation of having a lot of people wanting to move here, and therefore a lot of people wanting to build here, and we can ask those people in return for the right to build in our community, to deliver some of that affordable housing that we know we need. Again, through regulations and incentives, I think we can make that happen, and that's how we're going to get the majority of the affordable housing that we need, in combination with with subsidized housing and government housing and all these things. So we're going to be looking at that a lot in 2020 for certain. And on the subject of the official plan, we'll also be looking at natural heritage. I know that that's a major issue in our community. We saw it with some of the woodland developments that were proposed in 2019. People in the community want to see us have a good plan for how we're going to preserve those important natural heritage features in our community, while also allowing the community to continue to expand and grow. And I think we can do those things through good planning, and we're working on that at the county now, and we're going to see that trickle down through our official plans as we revise them in 2020 and going forward. So there's a lot of irons in the fire. We're working on a lot of different things now and in 2020, but I really think that we're going to see in 2020 sort of that confluence of the things we've been working on in 2019. Whether it's the Lamont Sports Park, whether it's waterfront revitalization, whether it's the YMCA, whether it's the Nuclear Innovation Institute, start to carry forward, and we're going to see that start to work in tandem with some work on those core services that we know we need to provide, and we need to provide more of, because we're a growing and prosperous community.
Is part of that going to be thinking outside the box when it comes to zoning and planning for housing and that type of thing?
Well, I think you're going to see that we're going to have to do some of that, if we're going to slay the dragon of the need for affordable housing, we're going to have to do things differently for certain, and that's why we're going to bring together this task force, hopefully of some of the most forward-thinking people in our community, to help us achieve that. Or whether it's natural heritage, or whether it's cultural heritage. This is another thing we're looking at the county level now, a bit of a cultural and archaeological master plan to help us understand what we need to do to preserve those elements of our community, as well as allow us to progress at the same time. So I think, you're going to see, our hope, and again, it's another change we made in 2019. We made a lot of changes in 2019, did a lot of things. And one of the things we did was alter our committee structure, and we're starting to see that now bear fruit, because what it's allowing us to do is to identify major issues. Affordable housing is going to be a good example. We're already having some discussions about environmental issues, potentially proceeding the same way, perhaps late in the year.
Labor shortage. Yeah,
labor shortage, where we're able to bring together people for a short period of time to look at a specific issue and give us recommendations, and then maybe disband and come back together on a different issue, right? And really get us, instead of striking committees to sit for years without much of a specific purpose, we're trying to give smart people in our community, a strong mandate to deliver to us important results, important information we need to make good decisions. And I think, and we now have a very extensive list of people in the community who are willing to do that for us, and we're now able to I think, bring them together to generate some important results. So, so yeah, I think, as I said, some of the work we've done in 2019 is going to start to bear fruit and maybe show up a little bit more to people as to how it's going to work out. So it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to 2020 because I really think we're going to start to layer on some successes on top of the ones we've already had.
And you also have a fairly young council this time around, don't you?
Yeah, and it's been great. And council is really cohesive. This council is very cohesive. People, all the members get along really well. That's not to say they agree always, but there's a lot of respect there, and I think it reflects in how we've been able to engage with the public. I think, obviously there's been some controversial issues this year, but even if you look at the most controversial issues, the most difficult ones that we've dealt with, right, the Cedar Crescent Village proposal, for example, even there, where council, in the moments where council interacted with the public, those interactions were, I thought, very respectful on both sides, and ultimately, though they may not have resulted in everybody walking away happy, they certainly, to me anyway, walking away, left me feeling good about the community and about our ability to face difficult decisions, make those decisions, and move on in a way that keeps us sort of whole as a community. I think that's important and really positive. And one thing that I don't know how often I've sort of said this publicly, but I certainly say it to my colleagues on council. I'm not interested in being mayor and sitting back and just letting the difficult decisions pass to the next guy or the next council. I want to face those things. I want to deal with them. I want to move on so that we can get this community moving in the direction it needs to move. I have spent a lot of time on council now and seen a lot of issues just get put off and pushed forward, and I'm really committed, really dedicated to dealing with those things and getting the decisions made that need to be made to solve the problems that are long-standing, so that we can build a community that serves all the people as best as it can. And so I really believe we've made good progress on that front in 2019, and we're not going to shy away in 2020 from addressing difficult issues and making difficult decisions.